President Arif Alvi terms corruption and group interest major problems faced by Pakistan. President hopes upcoming days would be better for Pakistan. Alvi says free and fair system to help overcome corruption and strengthen institutions of accountability. President stresses need to construct dams. Alvi says Pakistan wants peaceful relations with India. British Home Secretary Sajid Javid says United Kingdom and Pakistan agrees to join hands for justice and accountability in both countries. Javid announces to appoint special representative for Joint Commission on Accountability and Justice. Deadline for overseas Pakistanis to register on iVoting website expires. Out of 790,000 Pakistanis living abroad, only 7,419 people registered to vote out of 11,000 accounts created on website. Registration period lasted for 17 days. Former Premier Nawaz Sharif, his daughter Maryam Nawaz and son-in-law Captain retired Muhammad Safdar lands in Adiala jail as parole to attend Begum Kulsum Nawaz's funeral ends. Nawaz, Maryam and Captain retired Safdar flew to Rawalpindi via special flight from Lahore airport. Several PMN leaders present at Jati Umrah when they were taken to airport. Supreme Court rejects National Accountability Bureau plea challenging Islamabad High Court's decision to hear Sharif's petition against the Evenfield verdict. Anti-graft body requests top court to set aside IHC's decision to proceed with petition of Sharif's for suspension of sentences. Chief Justice imposes 20,000 rupees fine on Bureau and says justice be served to petitioners. Petroleum Minister Ghulam Sarwar says Economic Coordination Committee approves increase in gas tariffs. ECC meeting says increase in tariffs is targeted at higher tariff slabs. Ghulam Sarwar says we have only approved increase of rupees 23 billion in total gas bill for common men. Punjab Chief Minister Osman Buzdar, former Punjab IG Kaleem Imam and other tender unconditional apology for the Supreme Court IPAC within District Police Officer transfer case. Chief Justice says inquiry to reveal who is in contact with whom. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz says the European Union must do all it can to avoid hard Brexit. Chancellor also calls for a strong cooperation between UK and European Union after Brexit. Emergency workers leave Salisbury restaurant where two people fell ill. Police cordon off restaurant and surrounding roads as a precautionary measure. Police find no clue of nerve gas used in the incident. And screening of Bollywood film on human trafficking held in Mumbai. Screening also attended by former cricketer Sachin Tendulkar and his wife Anjali Tendulkar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You're watching 92 News HDUK. My name is Muhammad Yasir Rizwan.
And my name is Faik Mahmood. Starting off with the top story today. In his maiden address to a joint session of Parliament on Monday, President Arif Alvi said corruption and vested interests were among the major problems faced by Pakistan.
He urged lawmakers to support the government in taking the country forward. Alvi said the international fraternity should take notice of Indian atrocities in the held Kashmir. More in this report.
The new parliamentary year commenced with the address of the President. National Assembly Speaker Asad Kaisar presided over the joint session. Fatiha was offered for former First Lady Kulsum Nawaz. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz legislator walked out during the presidential address. The President said corruption was an evil and blamed it for the debt trap. He said the government should cut non-essential expenditures and eradicate corruption.
हमारे मसाइल की सबसे बड़ी वजह ग्रोही मफादात और बेइंतहा करप्शन है। करप्शन को काबू करने में जहां साफ और शफाफ निजाम जरूरी है, वहीं अकाउंटेबिलिटी के इदारों को मजबूत करने की जरूरत है।
President Alvi also paid tribute to the efforts of Pakistan Army in the war against terrorism and called it a most successful army.
मैं अफवाज पाकिस्तान को क्रेडिट देना चाहता हूं कि इस वक्त इंसदाद दहशतगर्दी के हवाले से दुनिया में सबसे कामयाब और तजुर्बेकार फौज हमारी है। दुनिया को हमसे सीखना चाहिए। इस मौके पर मैं अपनी जानिब से और अवाम की जानिब से तमाम शोहदा को खिराज अकीदत पेश करना चाहता हूं।
The President said Pakistan would continue to extend diplomatic and moral support to Kashmiris who were seeking their right to self-determination. He urged the international community to take notice of Indian atrocities in Indian-held Kashmir.
कश्मीर के तनाज़े का हल दोनों ममालिक के दरमियान पायदार ताल्लुकात के लिए लाजिम है। कश्मीरी अवाम को इनके हक़ खुद इरादियत से महरूम रखना काबिल मज़म्मत है। आलमी बरादरी और दीगर इंसानी हुकूक की तंजीमों को मकबूला कश्मीर में होने वाली जारियत और इंसानी हुकूक की संगीन खिलाफ वर्जियों के खिलाफ अपना किरदार अदा करना चाहिए।
Prime Minister Imran Khan, armed forces chiefs and many foreign dignitaries attended the session.
Law Minister Farooq Naseem and British Home Secretary Sajid Javid on Monday announced agreement on cooperation between the United Kingdom and Pakistan in the interest of justice and fighting corruption. Javid also said his country will help Pakistan and get off Financial Action Task Force grey list.
पाकिस्तान के बड़े मुजरिम इल्तिहाब हुसैन, हसन है, हुसैन है, शाहदार है, अब उनको लाने की राह हमवार हुई।
Both Naseem and Javed said individual cases were not discussed. Javed said the British government desired to further broaden mutual cooperation for defense, regional security and efforts against terrorism and extremism. He said Pakistan and UK had agreed to revive the exchange of prisoners program. He said Britain would help Pakistan get off the FATF grey list.
Today, I am launching a new UK-Pakistan partnership on justice and accountability. I want to ensure that no one can escape justice or act with impunity. Both countries take money laundering very seriously, and the work of the FTA, the FATF that you refer to, is very important. And we want to work with Pakistan to help it come off the grey list, and we will be working with Pakistan. And it's not just because of FATF. I think the government of Pakistan wants to make these changes anyway because they are just the right thing to do, and we will work and cooperate together.
Naseem said his government wanted to repatriate the wealth looted from Pakistan and taken abroad. Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry said an extradition treaty would allow people like Muttahida Qawmi Movement founder, former Minister Ishaq Dar, Nawaz Sharif's son, to be brought back to stand trial.
आज का जो मुआहदा है उसकी असल अहमियत ये है कि जो पाकिस्तान के बड़े मुजरिम इल्तिहाब हुसैन, हसन है, हुसैन है, शाहदार है, अब उनको लाने की राह हमवार हुई।
Earlier, Javed called on Prime Minister Imran Khan. He said his meeting with Khan was a pleasant one and that they had discussed rule of law and strengthening of bilateral ties. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi too met Javed. He said he emphasized the need to use the existing ties for tangible benefits and for building a multi-faced strategic partnership. The two discussed various aspects of regional and bilateral cooperation, particularly regional security, counter-terrorism, organized crime, migration, human trafficking, money laundering and recovery of crime proceeds.
The Economic Coordination Committee on Monday approved gas tariff rates. Petroleum Minister Ghulam Sarwar said tariff slabs had been increased and that most of the domestic consumers will be paying only slightly higher bills. Meanwhile, he said general sales tax on liquefied petroleum gas had been reduced by 10%. More in this report.
Finance Minister Asad Umar presided over the ACC meeting. The tariff raises for various slabs of domestic consumers range from 10% to 143%. The number of tariff slabs has increased from 3 to 7. The new tariff will take effect from October. Petroleum Minister Ghulam Sarwar told the media substantial tariff revision was targeted at higher tariff slabs. He said, for the common man, the gas prices hike would be limited to 10 to 15%.
जो शख्स 252 रुपए बिल दे रहा है, 50 क्यूबिक मीटर गैस जला रहा है, उससे 252 से 275 रुपए बिल देना पड़ेगा.
The Petroleum Minister said the GST on LPG had been cut by 10%.
तमाम टैक्सेस ख़त्म करके सिर्फ 10% GST उस पे छोड़ी है, जिससे 1600 रुपए से कीमत कम होके 1400 रुपए हो जाएगी.
The gas prices for power sector have been raised by 57% and for cement factories by up to 30%. Gas tariffs for textile, carpets, sports, leather and surgical goods sector have not been revised.
The Supreme Court on Monday constituted a committee headed by the Surgeon General of Pakistan to examine two money laundering cases accused. The Chief Justice remarked that if Sindh government did not do a satisfactory job, investigations will be shifted to Islamabad. How was it possible, he asked, that a patient at Sindh government hospital had not been diagnosed?
The Supreme Court had constituted a committee to medically examine two accused in a money laundering case. The Federal Investigation Agency has filed a petition for the medical examination of Omni Group chairman Anwar Majid and his son Abdul Ghani Majid. As hearing got underway, the Chief Justice told Jinnah Postgraduate Medical Center Medical Superintendent Dr. Simin Jamali he was disappointed that a patient remained undiagnosed. Justice Nisar asked if the patient had not been given the MRI exam the day he visited the hospital. He also asked if this could be construed as a failure on the part of Sindh government. Advocate Aisha Hamid, the counsel for defense, said the relevant court was already seized the matter. She said the Supreme Court should not take up the matter at this stage. The Chief Justice asked why the Sindh government was hesitant to allow an independent checkup. The counsel said doctor from Punjab should not examine accused in a Sindh court. Justice Umar Atiyah Bandial told the council to eschew provincialism. The Chief Justice directed the accused be shifted to Islamabad. The hearing was adjourned till September 24.
Punjab Chief Minister Usman Buzdar, MPA Ahsan Jameel and former Punjab Police IG Kaleem Imam tendered unconditional apologies on Monday to the Supreme Court in a case pertaining to the transfer of former Pakpatan District Police Officer Rizwan Gondal. The court directed Khalid Lag to investigate the circumstances of Gondal's transfer and submit a report in 15 days.
A three-member bench of Apex Court headed by Chief Justice of Pakistan heard a suo motu notice on the former DPO's transfer allegedly on account of an altercation with Khabar Manika, the former husband of Prime Minister Imran Khan's wife. Buzdar told the court he had learnt about an altercation between Manika and police. He said he had tried to resolve the matter amicably. The Chief Minister denied that he had orders DPO's transfer.
तो इस पे मेरे ख्याल में बात नहीं करनी चाहिए. हम कुछ सीखने आए हैं यहाँ पे. मैं तो पिछली पेशी पे भी आना चाहता था. मैं खुद पेश होके तमाम फैक्ट्स कोर्ट के सामने रखना चाहता था, लेकिन नहीं आ सका. आज
Justice Nisar asked whether the CM had summoned police officers at 10 p.m. or not. Buzdar said he had asked them how they were doing, offered them a tea and requested the regional police officer to resolve the matter. He said he had not pressured anybody. He also said he was not in contact with anyone for Gondal's transfer. The Justice Nisar remarked that an independent inquiry will establish the facts and recalled the DPO was reported to have said the DPO should be removed before the working day commenced. Earlier, the Chief Justice rejected an inquiry report submitted by former Punjab Police Chief Kaleem Imam. He told the officer he had not conducted a fair inquiry and had apparently been trying to cover up the matter. The Chief Justice then directed Khalid Laq to inquire into the transfer of former Pakpatan DPO and submit a report in 15 days.
The Supreme Court on Monday rejected a petition filed by the National Accountability Bureau challenging Islamabad High Court's decision to hear the convicts' petitions for the suspension of sentences in the Evanfield Properties case verdict. Calling the appeal frivolous, Chief Justice Mia Saqib Nisar also imposed a Rs 20,000 fine on the NAB.
The Supreme Court had rejected a petition filed by the NAB against the Islamabad High Court's decision to hear the suspension of sentence applications of the convicts in the Evanfield Properties reference. The NAB had requested the court to set aside the IHC decision of September 10 to hear the applications by former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, his daughter Maryam Nawaz and son-in-law, captains of the retired, for suspension of sentences awarded by Accountability Court that found them guilty in the Evanfield reference. Justice Nisar said the NAB should not be filing such pointless petition. Admonishing NAB prosecutor Akram Qureshi for filing the appeal, the Chief Justice said this is a regular mechanism. What is illegal about the High Court order? The Chief Justice remarked that the NAB could always appeal the IHC verdict if the Accountability Court ordered were set aside.
Former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, his daughter Maryam Nawaz and her husband, Captain Retired Safdar, returned to their Rawalpindi Central Jail cells on Monday as their release on parole to attend the funeral of Kulsum Nawaz ended.
A special plane carried Nawaz Sharif, Maryam Nawaz and Captain Safdar retired from Lahore to Rawalpindi. Shehbaz Sharif, Hamza Shehbaz, Salman Shehbaz and Yusuf Abbas were permitted to accompany them to Lahore airport. Before leaving his Lahore residence, Nawaz Sharif met with his mother. Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz workers gathered at Jati Umrah chanted slogans favoring the former Prime Minister. Strict security arrangements were made along the convoy's route from Jati Umrah to airport.
The deadline for overseas Pakistanis to register as voters to be able to vote in the October by-elections expired on Monday. Of the 627,000 eligible voters, only 7,410 have registered. Election Commission and National Database Registration Authority officials said they were disappointed with the level of interest shown by the voters.
For the first time in the country's history, overseas Pakistanis will be permitted to vote via internet. Of the 627,000 eligible voters among overseas Pakistanis, only 7,410 have got themselves registered, which comes to 1.20%. 11,330 overseas Pakistanis have made accounts using the website. 6,19,590 eligible voters have shown no interest so far. ECP officials said they were disappointed with the voters and the political parties, which they said have failed to educate the voters. ECP sources said 95 million rupees has been spent on i-voting software.
More news stories lined up right after a short break.
Stay with us.
Prime Minister Theresa May cautioned rebels in her party that unless they support her potential Brexit deal with the European Union, then they will face a potentially disorderly no-deal exit that the IMF said would make the United Kingdom significantly poorer.
The United Kingdom is due to leave the EU on March 29, and yet little is clear. There is, so far, no full exit agreement, and some rebels in May's Conservative Party have threatened to vote down a deal if she clinches one. The fate of May's government and her Brexit plan is in doubt because it's unclear whether she could command the 320 votes she needs in the House of Commons, the lower house of the British Parliament, to approve a deal. May said that if she got a deal, she thought Parliament would ultimately approve it.
as I say, I believe we'll get a good deal. We'll bring that back from the from the EU negotiations and put that to Parliament. I think that the alternative to that will be not having a deal, because I don't think there will be, I don't think the negotiations would have that deal, and B, we're leaving on the 29th of March 2019.
Recent signals from Brussels have buoyed hopes that the United Kingdom and the EU can agree and approve a proper divorce agreement before the UK leaves. Though the sides are still divided on about 1/5 of the detail of a deal, May also said in an interview that the post-Brexit she would not rule out giving a special immigration deal to EU citizens.
Emergency workers were seen leaving a restaurant where 2 people fell ill in Salisbury, the English city, where former Russian agent Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were poisoned in March.
Officers were called to Priso in the evening in response to a medical incident involving a man and a woman, Wiltshire police said, adding that the restaurant and surrounding roads were cordoned off as a precautionary measure. In a statement, Wiltshire police also said there was nothing to suggest the incident at the restaurant involved the nerve agent Novichok, and that it was not clear whether a crime had been committed. Inquiries were continuing, police said. One of the 2 people taken ill at the restaurant is Russian, Sky News said, citing sources.
Naz Shah, the Labour MP of Pakistani origin, on Monday demanded a ban on early tests for the sex of the embryo. She said tests could become a major cause of gender-selective abortions. The test is meant primarily to detect hereditary diseases. However, unscrupulous lab workers do report sex of the embryo for bribes. Some of the potential patients then opt for abortions based on the information. Shah said many South Asians preferred boys and forced women to undergo the test. She said the test should only be meant for detecting hereditary diseases in a child.
7 people were injured in Luton on Monday in a brawl. One of the injured was stated to be in a critical condition. Police have appealed for witnesses to come forward. Bedfordshire police were alerted to gangsters fighting at Saxon Road. Police said they found some of the people having stab wounds. The eyewitnesses have been asked to call 101. A search is on the culprits. Police said it appeared to have been a brawl among youths that had escalated. Joe Robinson, a British citizen serving a 7-year prison term in Turkey for fighting alongside Kurdish rebels, has appealed to UK government to secure his release. Joe Robinson, a British citizen serving a 7-year prison term in Turkey for fighting alongside Kurdish rebels, has appealed to UK government to secure his release. Joe Robinson was arrested from close to Turkey-Syria border. Robinson, 25, told media that he was emotionally exhausted. Foreign Office says it had discussed the matter with the Turkish government. Joe has been kept in a high-security jail. Joe said for 4 months he had not talked to his fiancée, is also in prison.
And now something about college funds cut. Colleges in UK seem unable to meet the educational expenses of students aged between 16 and 18 years on account of significant slash at the budget reserved for the purpose. Apart from that, colleges are also confronted with shortage of teaching staff. Colleges administrations have appealed to the government for assistance.
Besides that, the scholarship announced for college students since 2010 have dropped by 8%. Last year, £75 million had been released for all colleges of UK. Ministers say they will keep funding the college in the year 2019 to 20. Colleges administration say it is extremely difficult to provide higher education to students in view of the dearth of resources. Condition of some of the college deteriorated to such an extent recently that the government had to intervene. According to a recently conducted survey, 23,000 vacancies have been created in UK colleges between 2010 to 17 due to less salaries and shortage of resources. University and College Union Secretary Sally Hunt says the situation is extremely uncertain. The government will have to play its role for improving the situation. All colleges in Britain will launch a fundraising campaign at the start of winter this year. National Student Union Vice President Emily Champion say the government has completely failed to improve the condition of colleges.
Who is Hussein and Babul Ilm Foundation arranged a rally to pay homage to Shahada Karbala and to spread Hazrat Imam Hussein's message around the world. For more on this, have a look at this report made by Faisal Mirza from Dublin.
The rally started from main Islamic center Milltown and stopped at Christchurch area to offer Zuhrain prayers. Then they marched toward GPO city center Dublin. Speaking to crowd, Allama Mushrafi said there is a need to stand against evil system, as today we see poor people can't even pay for their food.
Labbaik ya Hussein! Labbaik ya Hussein! Labbaik ya Hussein!
Young participants of the rally emotionally spoke about the incident of Karbala and paid tribute to Hazrat Imam Hussein and his family.
Debate today, who is Hussein Society and Babul Ilm Society in Ireland. They conduct this event here in Dublin city centre. We never saw this kind of event ever before. Faisal Mirza, 92 News, Dublin, Ireland.
More news stories lined up right after a short break.
Stay with us. The European Union's Brexit negotiator Michael Barnier said talks over a divorce deal with Britain were continuing in a spirit of good cooperation. We continue working in a spirit of good cooperation, Barnier told journalists in Madrid after a meeting with Spain's Foreign Minister Josep Borrell. Barnier also met Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez.
Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz said the European Union must do all it can to avoid a hard Brexit during a visit in Paris to meet French President Emmanuel Macron.
The Chancellor also called for a strong cooperation between the UK and the European Union after UK leaving the EU.
I think there we agree that we have to do everything possible to avoid a hard Brexit and to make possible that there will be a strong cooperation between the UK and the European Union even after the UK leaving the EU.
Kurz, whose country is currently presiding the European Union, and Macron gave joint statements in the LC courtyard ahead of a meeting to prepare a European leaders summit in Salzburg on Wednesday and Thursday.
Protests demanding the arrest of Bishop Franco Merkel, who allegedly sexually assaulted a nun, intensified on the 10th day on Monday in India's southern Kochi city of Kerala, as protesters added from his academicians, intellectuals, film fraternity and common people.
A similar protest was also staged in Thiruvananthapuram district of the state. A priest M.T. Stephen of a Thiruvananthapuram church who joined the protests said that whether it is a Franco bishop or whoever is the criminal, it should be clear that law is equal to everyone and they must be brought to justice.
We are with the sisters. We are asking the government to take immediate action and to show we are with these sisters and we are with the original people in Kerala.
One of the protesters, Alushi Joseph, who joined the hunger strike on September 15, demanding the bishop's arrest, also turned critical on Monday and had to be taken away in an ambulance for primary treatment. In June, a nun had complained that the bishop had allegedly raped her 13 times over a period of 2 years. However, after apparently no action from the authorities, the protests picked pace recently over the past 1 week. The nun in a letter said that she wanted the Vatican to intervene. She said she was forced to make matters public after several attempts to seek justice from within the church failed. The case comes at a time when the Christian community, which accounts for 19% of the state's population, is reeling under an erosion of trust as sexual abuse cases involving the clergy pile up. 5 priests were arrested last month in 2 different sexual assault cases, while last year a Catholic priest who was trying to flee the country was arrested after a minor he is accused of having sex with gave birth.
A medical source in the Palestinian Health Ministry backed away on Monday from an assertion that an 11-year-old boy killed at a protest on Friday at the border with Israel had been shot by Israeli soldiers. More in this report.
The boy died of a head injury, said the source, who asked not to be identified, declining to give specific and stopping short of attributing the death of Israeli gunfire. On Friday, Ashraf al-Qidra, spokesman for the health ministry in Gaza, said the youth Shadi Abdul-El had been shot dead by Israeli troops. 2 other Palestinians were killed during the weekly protest by Israeli live fire, local medics said on Friday. Palestinians on Saturday buried 11-year-old Shadi Abdul-El, who was killed during Gaza's weekly border protests on Friday. Abdul-El was taken to his family home, where family members mourned over his body. It was then carried on a stretcher in a funeral procession through the streets of Gaza's Jabalia refugee camp. In Khan Yunis, Palestinians said that an UNRWA school was damaged by Israeli tank shelling on Friday night. An Israeli army announcement said that in response to riots along the border fence, an IDF aircraft and tank struck 2 posts that belonged to Hamas terror organization. There was no immediate announcement from UNRWA on the issue.
Russian President Vladimir Putin met with the Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan in Sochi ahead of a meeting on Syria.
Turkey, which supports Syrian rebels opposed to President Bashar al-Assad, has been holding talks with its allies Russia and Iran over the fate of Syria's rebel-held Idlib and surrounding district, which Assad has vowed to recapture. Russia's military support for the Syrian government has helped reverse years of rebel gains. Ahead of the trip to Russia, Erdogan said Turkey's calls for a ceasefire in Idlib region were bearing fruit after days of relative calm, but the more work needed to be done. Putin this month publicly rebuffed a proposal from Erdogan for a ceasefire there when the two met along with Iran's president for a 3-way summit in Tehran.
The makers of upcoming Bollywood film Love Sonia hosted a special screening of the film for actors and filmmakers in India's showbiz capital, Mumbai.
Directed by Tabriz Noorani, Love Sonia revolves around human trafficking and is the best film of Indian actress Marunal Thakur. Thakur said that the fact that the film is reaching the audience itself makes her happy.
The fact that the film is reaching the audience itself makes me happy because this is a story that deserves to be told. और बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है when I get positive response. People are connecting to Sonia's journey, which is very important.
The screening was also attended by former Indian cricketer Sachin Tendulkar and his wife Anjali Tendulkar. The film has a star-studded cast with actors like Manoj Bajpayee, Ali Fazal, Rajkumar Rao, Farida Pinto, Anupam Khair, Adil Hussain in it.
And a new trailer has been released for Colourcade. The film, directed by Alit Field, is about the participant of a baccalaureate party. The horror film will hit the cinemas on October 26th.
You brought this on yourself.
You saw what we did to your friends.
Why did you do this?
We didn't have a choice.
What do you do?
I'm a bellhop. Where's your mask?
We're killing them.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Fashionistas from around the world have gathered in London for the biannual Fashion Week, where trends are set on the catwalk, celebrities are snapped on the front row, and key players mingle at the exclusive parties. More in this report.
This season, designers such as Victoria Beckham, Alice Temperley and Bora Aksu are presenting their Spring-Summer 2019 creations for women.
The international media retailers that are coming to London from 50 different countries, over that in fact I believe, are here to see our talent, for that excitement, that newness, that interest that they're going to see within their stores or on their pages of the magazines that's going to sell.
Known for its emerging talent, London is the second leg of the month-long catwalk season that began in New York and later moves on to Milan and Paris.
I mean, I don't know, I think London has a certain young, youthful, energetic vibe, especially probably because of St. Martin's and all the young burgeoning designers that are coming up out of here, that it has a really unique energy. Which I appreciate. as like an aspiring young designer myself, you know.
Designers, models, buyers and journalists involved in London Fashion Week give their views about the latest trends, the event itself and London's position in the style world.
That's all from the news studio. For more details, you can visit our website 92NewsHDUK.
Keep watching 92 News.